Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about this panel here, the HSL panel. I'm going to be going through, breaking down each of these three segments: hue, saturation, and luminance. Um, I'll show you a little bit about what color does, and we'll try to unlock all of the potential that lies within this panel here. It's a really easy one to overlook, and I feel like it's a very underrated tool and very powerful one too. Um, so I've chosen an image here that, as you can see, is quite colorful, and um, there's a lot we can do with it, and there's a few things that we should do with it. So let's start off, and right off the bat I see the white balance is a little on the cool side. So let's go, this was afternoon, probably about 1 o'clock, so definitely not this color temperature here. So let's go pick the daylight preset, see how that does. It's definitely significantly warmer, but that's about how the day felt. So we have the sun back here. We've got a couple of strobes that are theoretically they're close to the daylight color temperature of the sun. I'm sure there's differences, but we would have to have metered that with a special color meter to read each source and see what they are. But this is at least a place to start from. If we wanted to, we could cool it down a little bit. This is about halfway between where we started and where we were just a moment ago. But I think I'm going to just leave it at daylight. Exposure wise, it looks pretty good. We don't really need to do anything there just yet. Let's check our clipping warnings, turn on the shadows and the highlight clipping. I don't see anything yet. I imagine these might clip here, these shadows, but they're not really important. We may get some highlights here, maybe some here that could clip, but we'll see what happens. So far, so good. If we wanted to, we could add a little bit of clarity here and some vibrance. And it's already a pretty vibrant photo, so I don't really want to add too much more. Right now, it's got a lot of punch to it, which is kind of what we were going for in this shoot, but I don't want to take it really too much beyond this. So as you can see, we have all of these separate color channels, and we can change the hue, the saturation, and the luminance of these three aspects of all these color channels. So let's take one and I'll just give you an example. So hue really refers to the real essence or nature of a color. So we can take our reds, any reds in here. This is kind of red. There might be a little bit in here, although it's mostly orange. But we can take this red and we can skew it slightly more magenta or more orange. So let's just see what happens as we turn this way. You can see what happens. This here got really pink. That was already approaching pink, so it didn't seem to change as much. Whereas if we take it this way, now it was sort of a what would you call this color? Like a neon salmon, if that's even really a color. But it started to turn it more orange, orange yellow, and her shirt here, you can see this right here on this highlight is closer to the original color, but here it took it much further in that orange direction. And this difference in the colors here, this is being lit by the sun, this is being lit by a strobe. This tells me right here that there is a difference in the color temperature of these. But let's zero this out, and let's do the same. We'll operate on our red channel since we've got some really prominent reds in here. Let's look at what happens if we change the saturation of just that red channel. So as I go this direction, gets more and more saturated till it looks incredibly fake. If I go this direction, it's not quite desaturated all the way, but we've taken out all the red. So this tells me that this color here was made up of probably some of this orange and yellow, but all the red's gone. And this one here had a lot more of that pure red in it, and so when we desaturate it, we can see this starts to turn gray. Right now it's actually sort of a gray-brown, whereas this side is still holding more of that red in there. So let's go zero that out. And now luminance. Luminance is the brightness of a particular color. So once again, let's do this to our red channel and see what happens. If we turn the luminance all the way up there, it gets really bright. If we turn it down, it gets pretty dark. It doesn't darken it all the way or brighten it all the way, but you can see how that works. So this works pretty well just as is, moving these individual sliders when you know exactly what the color is made of. In this case, we had a pretty good idea, but you could see that it was mingled with some other things. An easier way to do what we just did is this little tool right here. It's called the Targeted Adjustment tool. If you click on that and then go to the color that you'd like to change in some way, if you click and hold and then move your mouse or your trackpad, whatever you've got, move it up, it changes the luminance up, it makes it brighter. If you move down, it darkens it. And that's, you can see here, it's mostly red, but there's actually a tiny bit of magenta you can see moving down at the bottom. I really love to use the Targeted Adjustment tool because most of the time you're not dealing with pure colors, and most of us don't have the time to sit down and try to break down what they're made of. We just know, I want that one, and then I want this one. Let's do the same here. We'll see now we've got red and some orange. So this helps us kind of tweak these values and these relationships to each other, and help us get them right where we want them. Let's go back here to where we started. Let's do this now with saturation. So now you can see we've basically desaturated everything he's wearing. It also took some other things with it, you can see. Because the colors, these particular colors that were represented in here also happen to be found in everyone's skin tones and to some extent in her shirt. We lost a lot of other things with it, but this gives you a good idea of how this tool works. So you'll notice it's not really changing the green or the blue in the image. Those are pretty much staying put. Let's go back here again. Okay. And let's try this one more time with hue. So we're using the Targeted Adjustment tool. You click and hold down and move up or down. And now we're changing it more in the yellow or the magenta direction. You can see what it does to people's skin tones. As in the other examples, they have enough colors in common with the clothes that these two are wearing that if we target this to adjust, then these skin tones will also go with it. Let's go back where we started. What I'd really like to do, I think these colors on their clothes are fine. What I'd actually like to do is play with the greens in here and in the sky in particular. So let's go up here to the sky, and we can make it more of a greenish. You can see the blue down there is what's moving. Right in here it's moved more in the green direction. We go this way, it's going to get more of the indigo, violet, purple kind of a thing. Let's go this way with it. So I actually would like to leave it as is. I want it to stay blue. right here in the middle, I think that's good. What we really need to do in this case to get the sky a little deeper and more intense is we need to change the saturation and the luminance. So let's go to saturation. Let's increase the saturation. That's pretty good right there. And let's see what happens if we just darken it a little bit. Let's change the luminance. And right now I'm using the targeted adjustment tool. I'm only dealing with these blues here. We shouldn't really see much of a change anywhere else in the image. So you can see if I drop it all the way down, now it gets a little extreme. We have some halos forming. But if we do something a little more subtle, we're just making the sky a little bit more rich, which I think fits well with the boldness of these colors here in their clothes and in the tennis balls. Next, let's go to the tennis court. This might be a little bit trickier because it's not, this is more of a pure blue, whereas this green has some warmth mixed into it. So let's see what we get here. So we take it all down, we can see the tennis balls are changing with it. So we want to be careful. If we'd like these to stay nice and bright, then we can't really do too much here with this. Let's go back. So you can see those tennis balls got nice and bright again. We may just decide to leave this be. I think it shouldn't be too intense anyway. This is where the center of our attention is on the people here. But let's just see what we can do here. Let's go to saturation and let's increase the saturation a bit on just the greens. That's really intense. That's definitely too much. So I think a helpful rule to keep in mind is just because you can doesn't mean you should. So before you go too crazy with something, take a step back, look at it, and ask yourself if it's really necessary. So what we've done in this image is basically just adjust the sky and the tennis court just a little bit, very subtly, to bring in a little bit more richness and intensity to those, to help complement these really striking colors here in the tennis balls and in their clothes. So not a whole lot. If you look at how many changes we made here in our history, it wasn't really very many. So this image just needed a little bit of fine-tuning to make the most of it. I'll just show you really quick before I finish this segment. This really is just another way to see all of this information here. So I'm not a big fan of having to scroll back and forth. I'd rather just hop between them here like this. So that's about it for our overview of the HSL panel here. In the next videos we'll be looking at the color section as well as the black and white. If you've got any questions, as always, feel free to email me or post in our tech support forum. See you next time.